Suicide. It is a touchy subject, isn't it? But it happens. It's a fact of life. Did you know that every 90 minutes somewhere in the world, a teenager takes their own life? There are over 5,000 teenage suicides every year. Half of those deaths, around 2,500 lives, are taken not due to family issues, not due to depression or abuse, not due to pressure at school, but due to bullying. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dayan, and today I'm going to talk about bullying. There are various types of bullying, but most have three things in common. It is deliberately hurtful behavior. It is typically repeated over time, and often there is an imbalance of power, which makes it hard for those being bullied to defend themselves. There is a certain type of bullying which is becoming more of a social problem, and it is cyberbullying. So cyberbullying is the act of causing harm to others using digital media like email, mobile phones, social networking sites, and also the general internet. So this is one of the most common forms of internet abuse because of its supposed anonymity and instant power. Users say and do things they would never do in public or real life. Did you know that over 58% of adolescents and teenagers have been bullied? And around the same number have been engaged in cyberbullying. So did you know that more than 1 in 3 young people have been threatened online? Whether it is an empty threat or a violent threat, it's still a threat. Cyberbullying leads to people having low self-esteem and a damaged view of the way they see themselves. Those people who are subject to such cyberbullying are up 9 times more likely to consider suicide than those who haven't experienced it. So do you have any idea of what it feels like to be bullied? Well, let me tell you about it. Being bullied is almost like being dehumanized. It's like feeling you've got no body. It's like feeling you're alone, isolated without anybody to turn to. It makes you feel small. It's like you are worthless. Like nobody in the world cares about you. The harsh words become familiar voice in your ears. Those words make you look at yourself differently. They make you hate who you are and what you stand for, what you look like, and what you're interested in. It's almost like having your identity completely stripped from you. The bullies make people feel tiny. They make people feel anxious, feel scared and terrified all of the time. They make people become afraid of what's coming next. So imagine waking up in the morning with a feeling of dread in the pit of your stomach, not wanting to see what's on Facebook, what's being said about you, not wanting to look at your phone and what's being sent to you. Imagine just laying there in your very own bed, thinking that the world hates you and you don't belong there. Imagine what that must feel like. Just imagine that for a moment. So many of you here today have probably already celebrated your 16th birthday. But one young girl named Natasha McBride didn't get that change. Natasha was a beautiful girl with a supportive and caring family, and also close groups of friends. She had everything a teenage girl could have wanted. Natasha had a good life up until February of 2011, One day she came home upset, crying to her parents about how she felt alone at school. But within a few days, she was back on her feet and back to her usual self, right up until the night of February 13th. That night, she got in from school and asked her mom to collect some sweets for her whilst she was out. Ordinary enough. However, she later logged into the website known as FormSpring, which I'm sure you may have heard of it. If not, it is a website where people can send you comments, anonymous or not. And Natasha happened to be on the receiving end of some nasty message. One message spoke about how if she didn't start to treat people the way she should, she would be left with nobody. She didn't know who to trust or who to turn to. This was one of the last things that Natasha will have read in her life. She left the house that evening, headed for the train station. Nobody knew what she was doing, and she didn't tell anybody of what she was planning. The next morning, Natasha's parents got a knock on the door, and it is a police. Their daughter's body had been found by the railway. So imagine her last thoughts. Imagine how she must have felt and what she must have been thinking before she decided to jump. She must have felt unloved, hated, and also isolated. This is not acceptable and it needs to change. We need to fight this problem together. We need to change what's happening, and we need to change this today. As a whole, we can end cyberbullying. We can bring it to a halt once and for all. The attitudes need to change, and we need to think and act together as one. Only you can change to this problem. As long as you act upon it, you can make a difference. Start today. Start now. Think before the attack is sent. Think before that rumor is spread. Think before that love is had at somebody else's expense. Think before you go online. Just stop and think. Consider others. Consider others' feeling and also well-being. At the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all human, and we all deserve the same things in life. We all deserve happiness. So let's make that happen. Let's stop teenage suicides that are due to bullying. Let's treat others how we wish to be treated. And let's make a difference, and let's do that today. Be the change you want to see in the world. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.